my dear students, welcome you all back to our social class. We are dealing with the class 9 Civics chapter working of institution. We have seen about the power of president in the previous class. We have seen how the president is elected, and we also saw the president has different power similar to prime minister, and we also saw the limitation of president in the previous class and how he is appointed and what are the thing that he has to do and when he has to do his own decisions. All those things we saw in the previous class. Today we are going to see about the jurisdiction. So what is this jurisdiction? So if you see, this is also one among the working institution. So we have seen about the MLAs, MPs who are considered as the executives, like permanent executives and the permanent executive, and we also saw the executives who are temporary for few years. And now we are going to see about the jurisdiction, which is also another working institution of our government. So in that we'll see what is the meaning of jurisdiction first. If you see, all the courts of our different level in a country are collectively called as jurisdiction. All the courts at different level, we have different level courts like Supreme Courts, we have the High Court, we have the District Court. So District Court is the level 1. Next we have the High Court, then we have the Supreme Court. Like this, each level we have. So all the levels are called as the collectively it is called as jurisdiction. Okay, it is an independent organization and powerful institution. It is going to take an decision which cannot be measured or which cannot be decided by any of the other institution. So it is an independent organization. It doesn't have any dependence on any of the other organizations. And it is also the supreme powerful institution which can decide or sort out the problem between the citizen and an government, or between two states, or between two people, or between two families. The problems can be sought out and dispute can be dissolved. So that is being done by the jurisdiction. So it is called as powerful institution. Okay, then in India, jurisdiction consists of, as I told you already, it consists of the Supreme Court, High Court and the state, or it is called as the district. Okay, district court. And you can find these district courts are called as even local level, local courts at the local level. Okay, and this jurisdiction in India is also one of the most powerful in the world. It is the most powerful jurisdiction in the world. No one can deny or no one can disobey the rules or disobey the judgment which is being provided by the jurisdiction. This is one very important aspect behind the jurisdiction. Then if you see about the powers of jurisdiction, what are the different powers that are existing in the jurisdiction? Jurisdiction in India, as I told you already, is the most powerful one, and it has the integrated jurisdiction. Integrated means all level you can find it has been connected. Okay, like it means Supreme Court controls the jurisdiction administration of whole nation, whole country is under the control of the jurisdiction of the Supreme Court. And what are the powers, what are the things that are being there in the power of jurisdiction? We'll see the first, settling the dispute. So first thing is settling the dispute. Between whom the settling of dispute will happen? It will be between the citizens, between two people. Next thing is between the citizen and the government. There may be a problem between the citizen and the government. So for that also they will give an judgment. Decision will be taken. They will go on with the proceedings. So once the proceeding is finalized, judgment will be, the verdict will be given. So the verdict has to be followed by all the citizens of India. Between two or more states, like we have the Kaveri issue, like between two states, right? So that problem also can be dealt by the jurisdiction. Then between the government at the union and the state level, so between Pondicherry and Tamil Nadu, if there is any problem which is existing, also can be intervened by the jurisdiction and it can try to solve the problem of them. Okay, this is the settling dispute which is existing in the nation on the behalf of jurisdiction. And second power that is existing of jurisdiction is free from the legislature and jurisdiction. So what is this free from legislature and jurisdiction? Judges do not act on the directions of the government or according to the wishes of the party. So it is like judge can be an independent person who will not come under the control of the government, and he is no way responsible. He is no way ready to wish a particular party alone. He can be belonging to a party, but he is no way ready to wish or fulfill the wishes of the particular party. It is not existing about a jurisdiction. Then if you see, the next thing is, that is why you can find, that is why all the modern democracy have courts. Everywhere you can find, when whichever nations been forming themselves into an democratic form of government, it will have the jurisdiction, because jurisdiction has the supreme power to deal into the settling dispute between different peoples, and it doesn't have any supreme power of its own other than Supreme Court, and it is not dependent on any of the party. Okay, and third power of jurisdiction is interpreting the constitution of a country. So Supreme Court and High Court has the power to intervene. Intervene means get into the problems or get into the constitution itself. Constitution is the area where we have set of rules and regulation which has to be followed by the common people. Okay, so here you can find that the court has the all right to intervene in and change the law or modify the law as per the wish of the citizen. So this is also the power of the Supreme Court, this jurisdiction. Then we have the fourth one, judicial review. Here you can find that they can declare a law invalid. Invalid means it cannot be brought into practice, like that legislation can do, or it can be done by the executive itself. So they can declare invalid any law of legislature or the action of executive, whether at the union level or at the state level. So anywhere it can happen. The law can be made as invalid in the legislation, in the union also, state level also. But if they find, they means jurisdiction find that the law or the act is against constitution, thus they can determine the constitution valid. So what can they do? Jurisdiction can get into it and it can say that this is a valid law which can be passed by the legislation or the act of union, the action of the unions in the executive countries. It can make them to implement when it has been challenged before them. So it can be said in the form of this is known as the judicial review. When it has been taken in the hands of the jurisdiction, then it is called as judicial review. If the court find that the law or the order which has been implemented or which has been ordered by the executive has been disobeyed. Disobeyed means not followed properly. The provincial of the constitution, it has declared such a law, or it will call order as nulls, or it can also be said as the power of illegal. Okay, so it can also be done by the jurisdiction in that manner. It can make it a law, it can modify a law, it can make a law invalid, it can make an invalid law into a valid law. So these are all the rights of jurisdiction, or can be said as the power of jurisdiction under the judicial review. Okay, so next thing if you see about the power of judicial is that you can find here they will have an fundamental rights. Okay, so every citizens, every Indian have a fundamental right of his own. So power and the independent of an Indian jurisdiction allows the independent person, like an individual person, to have a right of his own. That is why the jurisdiction gives an higher level enjoyment for the citizens, whomever is there in the nation. So it is called as the guaranteeing fundamental rights for the citizens of them through the jurisdiction. Then you have the public interest legislation. It is, and like you might have seen in many movies and all, where they will implement an law, like it is based on the welfare case. It will be taken into custody. Like anyone can approve the court if the public is interested in. So anyone can file a case upon the issue that is happening in the nation. Can be an pollution issue, it can be about an industry, like public interest case. It will be brought in the form of an public interest case, and that can be dealt by the jurisdiction based on the welfare of the public. Okay, so then it will be preventing the misuse of the government power. So jurisdiction also checks whether the government power is being used in a proper manner or not. Like the court intervened to the prevent the misusage of government powers to take or to make decisions. Okay, so they check the malpractices that are happening in the parts of the public offices, like whether in taluk office or in the area of collectorate, whether it is functioning in a proper manner or the people are indulging themselves in the malpractice. All these things are being seen. Then you can also see that is why you can find that is why it has been said as the jurisdiction enjoys the higher level of the confidence among the people, because they feel that if they go to the jurisdiction, definitely they will get a proper judgment. That is because it is independent and it is more powerful. Okay, so that is the most important reason. So we have seen the 7 powers of the jurisdiction. Now we'll see how are the appointment that are happening. So appointment and removal of judges. So judges of Supreme Court and High Courts, they are appointed by the president. Okay, so president on the advice provided by the prime minister is appointing the Supreme Court as well as High Court judges. Okay, and then you can find that the senior most judge of Supreme Court are usually appointed as the Chief Justice. So they will be only considered as the Chief Justice. Okay? With a lot of experience, they will be appointed as the Chief Justice. Then once a person is appointed as a judge of Supreme Court or High Court, it is nearly impossible for him to remove from the post. He cannot be removed from the post like just like that. It will take some kind of process which is known as impeachment. Okay, so I'll tell you what is impeachment in the next. So this judges are being appointed with clear ideas and with a lot of experience, so they feel that they will not do any kind of mistakes. So next thing, if you see, they want a judge can be removed only by impeachment. As I told you, impeachment motion passed separately by the 2 or 3 members of the 2 houses. Like parliament, we have 2 houses, no? In that, 2/3 of the members, they are supposed to say that the judge is not functioning properly with the proper evidences. Only then the judge will be removed. Okay, he will be taken from his post of judge. Okay, so that is the process known as impeachment motion. Okay, and next thing if you see is, he has never had that impeachment has never happened in the history of Indian democracy. So that is what they say. Till now we have not got any kind of these kind of impeachment process, and that impeachment process have not reached in India yet. We did not go into this kind of process. So this is about the jurisdiction, and just an information which I wanted to give you about the hierarchy of jurisdiction. So Indian constitution is had the supreme and legal document of our country. So there are various levels which are existing in India, like different countries or different types of countries which are there with the democracy, and they stick on to the hierarchy which is important for us, that is the Supreme Court of India. It is followed by High Court, and it has been next followed by the District Court. Then we have the magistrate of second class and the civil judges. Okay, so the courts here, criminal as well as the civil cases. So it include the disputes of individuals and the government. So Indian jurisdiction is an independent of the executive and legislative branch of our country. And civil cases means normally between the civilians, if any issues that is happening, and between the families, like property issues, those kind of things will be dealt in the civil cases. Criminal cases like theft, murder, or massacres, for that it will be dealt. Okay, so we'll have a quick recap of the jurisdiction. So we saw what is the meaning of jurisdiction. Jurisdiction is the different level of court which are collectively called as jurisdiction, and it is an independent organization, and it is a powerful institution in democratic country, and it has, or it consists of 3 levels, that is Supreme Court, High Court, and the state, or it is also called as District Court or the court of local level, it is known as. And jurisdiction is also the most powerful in the world level. If you see about the powers of jurisdiction as settling the dispute. It solves the problem between the citizens, like between the citizen and the government, between 2 or more states, even between the union and the state level is being done by the jurisdiction. Then it also it is free from legislature and jurisdiction. That is why it can exercise its own practice in a proper manner without any implementation or without any control of the political parties. And it also has the highest level, like as it is independent country, an independent jurisdiction, it is not under any country, any control or any particular party's control. It can exercise its own power in a proper manner. Then interpreting the constitution. Supreme Court or the High Court can interpret and change or modify the laws, implement a law can be done by them, and can intervene into the problems between 2 countries also can be done. Then you have the judicial review. Is if any the legislature or the act of union says that it is the law has been invalid, that can be taken under the control of jurisdiction. Jurisdiction finds that it is really a good thing, and it can make it into a valid law or valid act which can be passed. This is known as the judicial review. And if the court finds that the law and order which is implemented by the executive is not followed, it has the power to give them the punishment. That is also there. Then you can see that the fundamental rights which are being there, the Supreme Court as well as the High Court jurisdiction ensures that every citizen enjoys their own fundamental rights, and public interest cases are also being dealt by the courts in order to solve the problem of the Indians. And it also prevents the people from, as well as the government employees, from misusing the powers of the government, like checking the malpractices, checking the adulteration, or checking the corruption that is happening is being done by them. If you see appointment and removal, Supreme Court and High Court judges are appointed by the President with the advice of the Prime Minister, and the senior most judge of the Supreme Court is usually appointed as the Chief Justice. And once the Supreme Court and High Court judges are appointed, they cannot be removed easily. So it takes a process which is known as the impeachment process. If it has been found that a person has been really doing some kind of wrong thing against the government, 1/3 of the members of both the houses should agree to impeach, remove him from his posting. Only then he will be removed. So that process, the removal process, is known as the impeachment process. And till now in India we have not gone through this impeachment process because no judge has been removed through that process. Then, just an overview about jurisdiction, that hierarchy in our Indian constitution, the supreme legal document that lies under the jurisdiction only. So jurisdiction has been the strict hierarchy of our nation, and it has Supreme Court of India, and it is followed by High Court and the District Court. Then we have the magistrate of second class and the civil judges of both, and court hears both civil and criminal cases are being dealt by them, an individual or between group of people or between a state or between more than a state. It will be dealing the issues. So civil case means the problem that is arising among the families, among the normal peoples, like property issues or divorce cases, those things. Criminal cases are being the theft or the malpractices, adulterations, or the murder of an individual or a group of people. That is called as jurisdiction. So now you would have understood what is jurisdiction, my dear students. Remaining we'll see in the next class. I hope you would have enjoyed this class. Thank you, my dear students.